About 8 years ago, I came across a concept that completely changed my life. You see, I was addicted to playing video games. I was addicted to smoking cigarettes, spending painfully many hours in front of a screen playing League of Legends. And sure, I was also relaxing, but I was also escaping. Now, I tried everything to break free from this feedback loop of hell. But yeah, nothing really worked. Until about 8 years ago, when I came across a book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And it taught me a very important concept called the habit loop. Now, you might have heard about this concept before, but if you haven't, it's basically that every habit consists of a cue, a routine, and a reward. So why is this so life-changing? Well, it's important because it doesn't just explain why we get stuck in these cycles, it also explains how to get out of it. And seriously, if I did not discover this concept, I would still be a slave, repeating the same bad cycles over and over and over again, and ultimately feeling stuck. And that's exactly what happened back then. But here's a painful truth that I learned. None of the distractions, whether it's gaming, scrolling, or binge watching on Netflix, will never really fix the root cause of the problem. What they do is that they numb the pain. The results that we want are in the discomfort that we're avoiding. Now, looking back on the time where I was spending all these hours mindlessly scrolling on my phone, and every night I would go binge watch anime or playing video games under the delusion that I was relaxing. And sure, I was also relaxing, but the truth is I was also numbing the pain. And those moments, or maybe I should even say days or years, I don't even know how much time I spent, but it accumulates so much over time that it's so astronomical that I don't think we really comprehend how much time we're just spending on stupid shit that has zero meaning. The real problem with escapism is that the pain you're trying to numb is like shoveling shit onto a pile right in front of you. At first, you can step over it, you can ignore the smell, but eventually the mountain of shit becomes so massive that you have to deal with it. You can't ignore it anymore. So a saying that I have for myself is that pain ignored is pain multiplied. At least that's what I've experienced in my life. So for years, I would delude myself into thinking that I needed motivation to escape this cycle. I would tell myself that I would quit after this season, or I would focus on my goals when I'm less stressed, because yeah, we know how that ends. If there's something I've learned is that clarity doesn't come from waiting. It comes from doing. Breaking free from this feedback loop from hell isn't easy. It isn't something that happens overnight, but it is actually quite simple. And you do it like with everything else, one step at a time. And for me, it usually always starts with a wake-up call. You need to become aware of the problem. You cannot change something that you aren't aware of that is happening. So the habit loop that I mentioned earlier is so crucial to me because it gives me the ability to actually notice when I am falling back into these bad behaviors like I did recently. And once you actually understand the behavioral patterns and triggers to your bad habits, you can start recognizing when, why, and what is happening. When I become aware of a bad behavior or problem or a habit, I usually try and make it as hard as possible to do that bad habit. Or, I try to avoid it altogether. Environment is by far one of the strongest, if not the most strongest way to change behavior, by the way, if you didn't know. And yeah, in my experience, it's always easier to avoid than it is to resist. And if you are trying to resist, it will always backlash. If you keep resisting something, it will always be top of mind, and thereby it's impossible to break it. At least it is to me. Yeah, that's what I noticed. And now this is all easier said than done, of course. But I think the real question that you need to ask yourself is, what is it that you're trying to escape from? What is the root cause of your problem? Try and notice what is the root cause of your behavior. Because the only real way to deal with bad behavior is to deal with the dragon. You have to slay your dragon, which is in my case the work that I'm not doing in order to achieve my goals. And so the more I avoid work, the bigger the dragon becomes, right, that I need to slay. But the interesting thing or insight that I've learned throughout the years is that you just need to get that ball rolling. Like it's all it takes is just getting that one step. That the first initial step is so crucial, and it's always the problem and the solution in one. For example, I know from past experience that the more work I do, the more clarity I get. The more clarity I get, the easier my work becomes. And so the feedback loop feeds back into itself and becomes this feedback loop from heaven instead of hell. So what once felt impossible, like writing scripts for these videos or filming without picking up my phone and seeing there's no notifications, or it's going to Twitter to look for a quote from Naval Ravikant, things becomes easier and easier with time. I think the hardest part about all of this is accepting the situation for what it is. You fucked up. You've been distracted, you've not done the things that you want to do, and now you need to deal with the consequences. And that's perfectly normal. But if you want to change, you need to deal with the initial discomfort of your situation. Whether that's sitting with boredom, or dealing with fear of failure, or accepting that you have been avoiding the work that you want to do. The pain of discomfort today is much smaller than the regret of tomorrow. You know, the video games, the scrolling, the binge watching, it all feels great in the moment, sure. But none of it moves the needle on what truly matters. So let me ask you this. How is it that we can wake up every single day on time and get to work when we can't even wake up and show up for ourselves? Think about that. The truth is that we all need to accept is that nobody is coming to save us. No one is coming to save you. You know, at the end of the day, I still fuck up. Like I did recently. This is why I'm making this video. I still fall into bad cycles and spending time on stupid shit that doesn't matter when I know better. And yeah, it's another level of frustration when you know what to do, how to do it, but you don't do it. I don't know if you can relate to that, but yeah, it's super frustrating and just stupid. But negative thinking won't help us get what we want. We cannot dwell on the past. What we can do is focus on the present moment and the future. Because all we really have is the present moment that we can focus on. And it's not about getting everything perfect, because it will never be. I think it really comes down to showing up for yourself. Because what I realized is that there will be pain in everything that we do. But I think the cool part is that we get to choose whether we run from it or we face it. So start today, start small. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know the next thing and find that one thing that moves the needle forward. That's at least what I'm going to do. So see you guys.